as you guys can see from Lindsay's background, today we are talking about Britney Spears and the conservatorship. Absolutely insane that she's still under this. And then the specifics of what the conservatorship allows and does not allow her to do is just absolutely insane.
Yeah. Um, so I'm sure most people have heard her the testimony or
Yeah.
like beginning argument or whatever that's called. Um, anyways, the little speech she gave in the courtroom um, this past week, I guess it was. It's pretty. It's like you imagine things were bad, but it's so much worse because the autonomy that has been taken away from her is like so extreme. Um, so my mother she was under my care when I was 19. I had to take over caring for my mom. She had what they called was early onset Alzheimer's, but she had had multiple strokes and stuff before then, so she wasn't able to care for herself. And she was to the point where she needed 24-hour care. So I had to put her in a nursing home. But because she was so young, because she was only like 40 whenever she was diagnosed, she was still able to have children. And actually, like right before she got put into the nursing home, she had my little sister, um, who's was born when I was 19. um, so I had to make sure she had a form of birth control, to keep her from getting pregnant because of her being in a community home where there are
Yeah.
other people. And since she's a female, she's not like a guy where, like the men in there don't have to worry about getting pregnant.
Yeah.
And men can produce babies at all ages, where in a normal nursing home, most of the women have already went through menopause. There's not that chance of pregnancy, in a nursing home. But because my mom was only 40, she still had that chance. Um, so I had to make sure she was on birth control to keep her from getting pregnant again. Even though her
Yeah.
mind was gone, her body still worked.
Yeah. Well, and I
And they
mean, the
can't keep
nursing
them
home.
from engaging with other people, because they all have their own bedrooms and everything.
Yeah.
So that was a tough decision to make, but she wasn't at all able to control herself. Where Brittany clearly is able to make those decisions. She has the finances to back, whatever consequences that she has. Like if she were to get pregnant, it's not like she doesn't have the money to support a child.
Yeah.
She may have some mental issues, but it's not where she can't go to the bathroom on her own and needs, the 24-hour care. There's like that really weird line there on making those choices for somebody else. Cause it was hard for me, even, and I knew that there was no way she could have another child. Like there was, we can't have that option. She can't even care for herself. How could she do that? But in Brittany's case, it's so different. It's
Yeah.
just crazy. I mean, the fact she can't even like I would rip my own IUD out. I would be like, "Fuck
I
you."
would too. I'm
I
surprised
would.
that she hasn't, honestly.
I'm too. Unless she's just scared and squeamish to do that to her own body. Because I mean,
Yeah.
definitely like ripping your own IUD out would be absolutely terrifying. But if I was in that position where you're not letting me have any control over my own body, I can guarantee you I would be ripping that thing out.
Although at the same point, with the terms of her conservatorship, if she tore it out, they would absolutely have her 5150
Right.
and put it right back into her. So yeah, so anybody that doesn't know the background on this whole situation, back in I think it was 2007, Britney did have a mental breakdown, which was specifically caused by the paparazzi. I learned that from the Framing Britney video. Like they went into so much detail about how like she had just had her kids taken away from her by her ex-husband. He was saying that he wasn't going to let them see her, and the paparazzi wouldn't leave her alone. And she even said, she's like, you need to go. Like, this is a very private moment. Because Britney's always been one of those people that was always very nice to the paparazzi. And even the ones in that documentary were like, we loved her because she was always so nice to us. And then to see this where like it was a very private personal moment where like she was clearly going through something and they just took full advantage to the point where she felt like she didn't have any other choice and she did attack a car, which I mean, not ideal, but she was really upset and they wouldn't leave her alone. I would have done the same thing if I had cameras in my face 24/7. Um,
I feel like paparazzi, I think that should be an illegal thing.
it
I
should
think
be.
that if you because there's even like legalities on like if I take a picture of me and you together and you don't want that picture online, like technically I think isn't it illegal for me to even post it?
Yes, and also, yeah, there's times that the celebrities have gotten in trouble because they used a photo that apparently was it's like a photo of them, but they don't own it because it is a paparazzi and like they'll get
Yeah.
sued for it. And you're like, I'm sorry, it's a photo of me. What do you mean I can't use it? It's me. But it's like, oh, you don't own the rights to your own image.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. Um, but I feel that paparazzi should be illegal.
It should
I
be.
think that if a celebrity, if you want to post a picture of a celebrity and you took that picture yourself, you should have their consent before you can do that. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think that it should be a thing where, and then if you took that photo and it's of that person, they should get part of those royalties off of that.
absolutely.
Like, that's so not fair. Like, it's a picture
And
of
they're
me. What the hell? Like,
and the paparazzi, like, and these like gossip rag magazines, they use these photos and they like genuinely hurt the mental health of these people because they take these celebrities that have like very normal bodies. Like they've seen, what was it? They did Kate Winslet and they put a side by side photo of her at 20 and her at 40. And she's still a very thin, beautiful woman. And even, she just looks like a normal human being at that age and she still looks young. But they were like, look at how poorly she's aged. And it's like, she has not aged poorly.
yeah.
I've seen 30-year-olds that look worse than her. But it's like, yes, absolutely. If you compare her 20-year-old body to her 40-year-old body, it will look different. But to like exploit things like that is just absolutely insane. And then you have the ones like Billie Eilish where they she kept her body fully hidden up because she's like, I don't want the paparazzi to see how I look and all of these things and
To know my weight and my shape and all of that.
yeah, and like use it against me because it does. All you do is like read what people say. So I can absolutely see where Brittany just had enough.
Lost her shit. Like, I
And
would too.
yeah, so they put her under a psychiatric hold, and then they put her under a conservatorship, which is essentially just she has no rights of her own, and it's a team of people that make all of the decisions for her. Typically used in cases where the person is unable to do anything for themselves. Where I don't feel like a conservatorship should have been used at all, because while she was having a mental breakdown, she was still a fully functioning human being. Like she still did have like mental capacity. She just needed to be in therapy, and the
If
conservatorship
she is
really just
able to go on tour and put on those shows, she is able to care for herself because that is
exactly.
extremely like that is hard fucking work to do all that
Well,
shit.
and that was years later too, because this conservatorship has been going on for 13 years. So I
Yeah.
can see in the beginning where they were like, okay, yes, she needs all of these, lock and key, all of this stuff. But
Yeah,
then
and it
yeah,
was around the time whenever a lot of the celebrities her age were going through all those drug issues
yes,
and, having the DUIs and all that stuff. So I kind of see it then. I still feel like it's a stretch. Um, but I kind of see then, the fear that, oh my God, these young people in their 20s have all this money and they're at that young age where they think that they're invincible and can do anything. And have the funds to go to big parties and spend tons of money on fun drugs, and end up using too much and could kill themselves. Like I get that, but there's still that like this
yeah.
went way too far.
Well, especially when, I mean, she said in her testimony that she released three best-selling albums, and had two tours, including a Las Vegas residency. And she would have had the second Las Vegas residency if she hadn't just walked out and been like, you know what, I'm not doing it. And she got sued for that.
Yeah.
Like she said, I don't want to do this. And they literally said, okay, well, obviously you're crazy and need to be locked up. And it's like, no, she's just fucking tired.
Yeah, because they said that after one of the tours and before starting that, they didn't even let her have a break.
Yeah.
They didn't let her take a vacation or take a few weeks off or anything. I mean, it was just, okay, the tour's over. Now you're going to Vegas, like
Yeah.
immediately. Um, it's just, it is extremely abusive. Um, both physically and mentally because of the forcing the IUDs, forcing her to eat a certain way and live a certain way, I feel is physical abuse. And then the mental abuse from it is just out of this world. I mean,
They
it's
they
just so bad.
totally gaslit her. They were like, "Oh no, you can't get your hair or nails done. We're in a pandemic." And then she said that her mom came over and her maids were coming over with like fresh nails and things like that. And it's like, I'm sorry, you're telling me that there's nobody in the entire world who is willing to do a private haircut or nails for Britney Spears? Like Nancy
Right.
Pelosi got her hair done in the salon during like the height of the pandemic. And you're telling me somebody can't come to Britney's home? Like, so yeah, I saw like this, the whole thing makes no sense. And they keep going back to court. And she's gone to court a few times for this. And she said, I don't want to be under this conservatorship. And the people in charge go, well, you're not in your right mind, so you can't make that decision. It's like, okay, so she is in her right mind enough to do a full tour where she is singing and dancing. And like, yes, she could be lip syncing, but in order to lip sync and dance those moves, you can't tell me that she's cognitively impaired. And
Right.
I know that she's not because
And
she's
if
a
you
fucking
think she is
icon.
that out of it mentally that she can't have control over her own body, you're going to put her up in front of thousands and thousands of people? Like,
Yeah,
you think she's
every
that out
night.
of her mind? Like, what is she going to do if she's that crazy? Like, she could
Yeah.
snap and go Aussie and bite something's head off or some shit. Like, of course, his was he didn't realize it was real. He thought it was, it was supposed to be
Yeah.
fake. But, like, if you really think she's that crazy, then why the fuck are you putting her in front of people? You know
it
what I
made
mean?
it
Like, it,
made no sense, and they just kept using that argument. They're like, oh, she's cognitively impaired, she doesn't know what she's talking about, she doesn't know all this. And it's like, then why are you letting her perform? Why is she not in specialized care 24/7?
right.
Like, why is she doing all these things? And also, why is she footing the bill for the people keeping her in this conservatorship and the people trying to get her out and all of these doctors and all of these things who are all profiting from her being under it? I mean, they said that the conservatorship, I think it made everybody richer. And it was like, a conservatorship shouldn't make money. Like, it's supposed to be there to help someone. If it makes money, there's something wrong
Then
because,
it's a business.
yeah, it is. It's a business. And they did say that in the Free Britney documentary. Um, I don't remember who said it. It was somebody that was formerly on her team, but they said, we think that this could be a business model for young celebrities. So they intended to put a bunch of young celebrities under conservatorships like this so that they could force them to do tours, force them
I
to
mean, it
make
reminds
albums.
me of like a lot of the K-pop groups and stuff. It's a very similar situation. I don't know if it's like to the extreme of this as far as how controlled that they are, but like they don't make shit. Those performers don't.
Really? I don't know anything about
No,
that.
no, no, no. Like their record labels and managers and stuff, they control everything. They make the money, and they're kind of like just an hourly wage employee working for them, doing that.
I've seen that
Or
just
that's
in
how it
the,
was like 5 to 10 years ago. It may have changed, since then, but I had read something about it saying that a lot of them like barely make over what like the average person makes.
well, I know, so a more recent one, Taylor Swift, her first, I think 5 or 6 albums, they don't belong to her. They belong to her old manager who she had a falling out with and she refused to work for him. And he goes, that's fine, but I still own all of your music. And she actually is in the process of re-recording all of those albums, so now you're seeing them played as Taylor's version instead of just like the song title. So when it's Taylor's version, she gets paid for it. When it's the other version, her manager gets paid and she makes no money off it. And it's
I
like,
didn't know.
it makes no sense. And she, said, she's like, I want to buy my stuff back from you. And he's like, nope, it was under contract. I own it, and you don't want to work with me. And that was after, I want to say that was after the stuff with Kesha, where she was like, I was abused and I don't want to work for him, and he is the one that did this. And Taylor Swift was like, absolutely, I also don't want to work with him. And so then he was like, well, sucks, you're under contract. So, but these music industries and all of these
I'm sorry,
people,
but if you're abused, that contract should be null and
it
void.
should. It absolutely should.
It's kind of like,
And
when you rent or lease a place and there's those terms and conditions. If this happens, you're out of that contract. If you're abused, you should be out of that contract.
you would think. But they all have those shady lawyers that are like, we didn't abuse her, prove that we did. And then it's just he said, she said, and we still
Yeah.
don't believe women when they say that they were abused.
Well, in
So,
today's world, we have tons of electronic devices that have recording capabilities.
yeah.
I would be like, if I enter this contract with you, I reserve the right to record you during our interactions at any time.
Yeah,
Period statement, declarative
absolutely.
sentence. That's
And it
the
sucks too that like you have to do that. Like you have to be like, um, I don't trust anyone. And then it makes you look like you're difficult to work with because you're like, no, sorry, but I said
okay.
something
Call me
and then
difficult.
my
I don't give a
request was
shit.
ignored. But yeah, so she's paying for these people, and she did. They kept saying, oh, she can hire her own lawyer. She's allowed to hire her own lawyer. But she did. She hired her own lawyer. And then the judge went, no, we already assigned you a lawyer. You can't use this lawyer. So you're allowed to retain him and pay him, but he's not allowed to represent you in court. Only this lawyer that I approved can represent you in court. And it's like, but this lawyer isn't looking out for my best interest. So like, I don't want them to. And I think at one point too, she was like, listen, I'm fine being under the conservatorship, but I don't want my father in charge of my money. I want a bank to be in charge of my money or my little sister. And the judge literally said no.
Yeah, and that tells me that judge is being paid a shitload to be paid off.
Yeah. Like
And
I can't
his
imagine.
his position should be in question.
Yeah. Like I can't imagine a situation where you're like, I want a bank to be in charge of my money instead of this singular person who I feel is taking advantage. And the court system is like, no, that doesn't seem right or valid. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, that makes me question that court system. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And the fact that she's paying for everybody, I think it's insane that she's paying
they
every
should
single
just
person
go
that
above and
comes
beyond
forward.
and have the UN be over this court case.
Yeah. Honestly. There's no reason for her to be under this conservatorship. And then hearing the things that she has to do, the fact that she is not allowed to that she has the IUD and she doesn't want in. She is older, so like her window for having a baby is a little bit, she can still have one,
She's
but it
already
is
going to be
over.
considered a high risk at this point
Yeah.
at her age. So,
And so it's like, if she wants to have a baby, you should let her have a baby. And they won't let her, I assume, because then she's not going to tour. And I'm sure that she would just stop all of it
I
and be a
really
mother.
think if she gets rid of this conservatorship, she's retiring.
I think so too.
And I
I
wouldn't
can't,
blame her one bit. I can see her retiring and disappearing
yeah.
from the public eye.
And then I'll just be pissed anytime I see a story on Britney Spears because I'll be like, how dare you continue to bother this woman?
Right?
Like,
Let her live her life.
all she wants to do is like have a baby and a family and see her children that she already has. And the fact that her children don't like her father and the judge isn't taking that into consideration of like, oh, her children don't like her father either. Maybe there is something shady. Like
Right.
kids don't just refuse to see people for no reason. It's like we're just not believing anybody that's like, maybe Jamie Spears doesn't have her right interest in mind. They're like, no, that couldn't be possible. Like he's her father. He's obviously taking great care of her. And it's like, yeah, so I mean she's got the IUD. I think she said that her boyfriend's not allowed to drive her. Like
Yeah.
they're not allowed to go on trips together. She can't take a vacation. She can't choose her own doctors. And like I would be livid if I couldn't choose my own doctors. Like she has so much money that she could go to any doctor that she wanted. It's not like us who are like, limited to who we can see. She can see who she wants, and she's literally not being given the choice. And she's like, I I don't like how this person treats me. And they're like, well, obviously that's not true.
And then there's the part where she wasn't allowed to have the therapy at home. She
Yes.
had to physically go somewhere. Like, why?
And she's photographed. She's
Yeah.
photographed going
And
there.
that's her reasoning is because
Yeah.
want I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want people taking pictures of me. Like I just want to have my therapy in the privacy of my own home. And like, no. It's like they're just picking, like poking her with a stick, just
Yeah.
trying to get her to snap to have more reasons to keep her under
And they're
this.
and they're making her do 2 therapy sessions a week. And she goes, I don't need to be in therapy twice a week. She goes, I am doing all of these things. I am taking my medication. I am choreographing my own dances. I'm teaching my background dancers. I am doing all of these things. Why do I need to be in therapy twice a week?
Yeah.
And the medication too. The
And
part
they
where
put
she's
her
like,
on the lithium? Like,
yeah.
what the
And
fuck?
they put her on lithium because she said she didn't want to perform.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, she doesn't want to perform. Well, let's give her a drug that makes her manic.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's like,
so insane.
it's so dangerous. And she said, she's like, I felt drunk. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't want to be on it. And they said, I think that she was on it for like 6 months before she was finally able to be taken off it. And it's like, the second that she said she doesn't feel like she needs to be on it, they should have stopped.
Yeah.
And it just, the body autonomy and the mental abuse that she's suffering, it's just absolutely insane. And I can't, I
I
can't,
hate to even say this, but I'm really surprised she hasn't killed herself.
I am too,
Like,
honestly.
I hate to even bring that into it, but I know if it were me,
I
I
couldn't
wouldn't
do it.
exist. I would no longer exist. I would be like, you know what? You can fucking have all my damn money because I'm done. You're not making any more over what we've already got. Like that's
Yeah.
it. I'm done. Like I wouldn't,
Yeah. Cause that's the thing is I think when
and
she,
I
when
would
she,
make sure it was known why I did it.
they cover it up.
I would find a way.
Yeah. The fucking carrier pigeon, a message to the
I would find
paparazzi.
some way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's horrible, but I absolutely, I'm exactly there with you. She is so strong for not having done that because
Yeah, to me, that tells me she is much more mental stable than they
yeah,
claim that she is because there's no way I would still be in that.
no, I mean, yeah, it's to have somebody tell you like you have to work. Didn't she say she was working like 12 to 16 hours a day every single day and going to therapy and it was like 6 or 7 days a week. She goes, I literally have no time to myself. And then, she always, we'd all see the like cryptic blog posts and things like that where it's like, oh no, I'm totally fine. And you're like, I mean, she says she's fine. And then you see this and you're just like, I wish that we had done more for her. And like, I just want her to like, she does her painting. And I know she had one Instagram post when she first started painting. She's like, they're not very good, but it makes me happy. It's like, good. I don't care
Yeah,
that
that's
like,
the whole
I'm
point
like,
in
first of
art
all,
is
they're
a
phenomenal,
release.
but like,
Yeah, the whole point in art is for you to have a release to express yourself, and it's totally, relative. It doesn't there's no
yeah,
good or bad. It's relative to the artist, to the person interpreting it. Um, if it
yeah.
makes you
It's
happy,
like,
that's all that matters.
I just want her to be like happy and not touring and like just doing art in her like beautiful background and like doing yoga with her boyfriend and like taking private vacations and just like being a regular human being. And if she decides on her own like that she wants to like release more music and tour and all that, good for her. But like she's done so much and they've pushed her so hard. Like I didn't realize how much she had done while under this conservatorship.
Right.
I had no idea that she released 3 albums, and they were 3 extremely popular albums. And I did know about the Vegas residency, but I didn't know that she'd also done a tour. And I know tours are super taxing, physically and mentally too. And it's like to have somebody that's so unstable they can't, decide to go to the bathroom by themselves without somebody being like, oh yeah, you can go, to being able to do a 90-minute choreographed singing dancing routine with multiple, I assume, costume changes nightly. It just doesn't make sense.
No. It doesn't. So uh I'm eager to see how this goes. I'm really hopeful she gets a good judge that will finally listen to her. Um,
I think this one did. Like this one seemed
I
really
hope
receptive.
that she gets what she's looking for because this is so abusive. And if there are like medical records that genuinely prove she really is not capable of caring for herself, I hope they will give her someone to help her that is not related to her and truly has her best interest in mind.
Yeah. I think that if her medical reports, if her like,
Because there
you know,
could be more that, we the public don't
yeah,
know. We don't know. Maybe she has tried to kill herself numerous times,
that's true.
we don't know
Yeah.
that. If there is more there that the judges do know that we don't know, like I hope that they will find someone other than who's been running things. Like, because clearly her parents do not have what's best for her, you know.
Yeah, and like I hope that at the very least, like if they want to say like, hey, you still need to be under this conservatorship, they need to change the terms so she is not allowed to work. Like
Exactly. If you're
it's
that
like,
mentally off,
yeah,
you shouldn't be working. You're supposed to be resting so that you can get better.
yeah. Because the fact that they think that she's just as bad now as she was in 2007. I mean, if she's going to therapy as much as she is, if she's on different medications, if she's doing all the stuff, that shouldn't be happening, you
Yeah.
know. And you know, it doesn't make sense to me. And I know that we have like just the limited view because we haven't been legally allowed. I think they've sealed all of the court documents for all of these cases because they said they're like, this is too popular of a case that like we don't want this information just like in the public. But there have been snippets, like people are allowed to be in the courtroom, so they are like relaying information, but these aren't, it's not at every hearing, I don't think, because we're only hearing about these big trials and not all of the little ones that I assume that they're having as well.
Yeah.
So we're just getting like just a small piece, but it's horrifying. Like,
But I mean, to me, like you said, with the no working, if she's gonna have to be under conservatorship,
yep,
the word, like I can't think of it. Um, if she's gonna be under that, then any normal person like me or you, if we were under something like that, we'd be on disability.
yeah.
We wouldn't be working. We would probably be in a mental
Mhm.
institute place, mental hospital, getting care, and not be expected to go work a more than full time job um, to manage everything.
She was forced into a mental institution against her will too. So her father did force her after she refused to do one of the shows. And she said that she went to all the therapy sessions because she was told, if you want to get out, you have to go to all these. She's like, none of the other people in this went. And then I found out it was all voluntary. I was going to all of these, sessions because I was told I had to. And nobody else was going to them. And, I still had to fight to get out. And it's like, why? And one of the main things that she wanted with ending her conservatorship is, I know she specifically said, she goes, I want this ended, and I want it ended without me having to get a mental evaluation. She goes, I have
Wow.
had enough mental evaluations. I can prove it. I have all of these records that I'm not going to anymore. And I fully support her in that, where she's
I
like,
do too.
you can let me out of this or not let me out of this, but I'm not going to be evaluated again. So you can like be like, oh, well, we just needed to get a 27th opinion if you're mentally stable. No,
Yeah. Mm-mm.
like, yeah. And it was so cute too, with because I read the transcript. So they had like the parts where the judge was like, I'm so sorry to stop you, but you're talking too fast and my court typewriter can't keep up with you. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's how passionate she was, that she couldn't control the speed of her talking because like she needed to get all of this out and she needed them to hear it. And
Well,
like,
and I'm sure she was scared they were just going to stop her completely,
yeah.
and she wanted to get it all said before someone stopped her.
Well, and then her father too kept saying, he goes, oh, she can end this conservatorship whenever she wants. And it's like, well, she's literally been saying for the
Okay,
past few
then let's
months that
end
she
it
wants it
because she's
ended.
literally saying right now that she wants to end this.
Yeah.
So,
And then they're like, well, she needs to get a lawyer then. And it's like,
how
she
many
did get a,
lawyers does she have to pay?
yeah, that's exactly it. How many lawyers does she have to pay? And like when, because she had two people, her father and somebody else that wasn't related to her, running her conservatorship, and the second person retired. And it's like, okay, so why was he not replaced? Like, why did her father just get sole conservatorship over her? Why is one
Well,
person?
why the dad? Why doesn't the mom have?
I don't know. I would also be curious about that because I thought um it was my understanding from when she was little that like her father really was not involved in her life,
Yeah,
and her mother was the one that like was at all these things with her and like was doing all this. And I think too, in the Free Britney documentary, um, her mother's friend was her personal assistant, and she actually took her when she was younger to a lot of these shows because she
yeah,
still, her mom had
because
Jamie
her mom
Lynn.
had to work and
Yeah,
stuff.
her mom had to work and she had Jamie Lynn. So she's like, I can't go, but will you go with? And then this woman, she's like, I love Britney. I know Britney. We are still friends. We still talk. Like, um, you know, her mom was the one that, set all this stuff up. So why her father, who she had this strained relationship with, is the conservator makes no sense. And then I did see another article where it said before he took over the conservatorship, he was just a cook in a restaurant and not like a fancy one. He was like a cook in like a low end restaurant, not making that much money. And then he took over this conservatorship and now he's, got access to all of her money. So
Yeah.
why would he want it to end? So the whole
It's
thing,
been it's been a huge thing, because a lot of the speculations that we, the normal public, see and have often thought, were kind of proven, and that she wasn't happy, that she was, that she was absolutely a slave and prisoner in her own life, um, and it's so sad that that's the reality that she's having to live. Um,
yeah, I want her conservatorship to end, and I want a literal law passed that
yeah,
like these are the rules for being under a conservatorship. If you are under one, these are the conditions you have to follow. Because this, I mean, 13 years of being forced to do shows and work and make money and not be able to see doctors or make your own medical decisions is crazy. She can't even get married. Like
yeah,
that was the other thing is she said that she wants to marry her boyfriend. And I could see it where it was like they've been dating 3 months and like they don't, they're like, no, no, this is going to be another Kevin Federline situation. Um, no,
even if
they've
it
been
was.
together. But yeah, it's her money
Even
and
if
it's
it
her life.
was, I
It's
mean,
true.
a
It's
lot
true.
of the rest
Yeah,
of us have done stupid shit like that.
that's true.
Nobody
But
stopped us.
they've been together for years. Like they've been together since I think 2016 or something. He was one of her background dancers and they started dating and they're still together. So it's like, where I could see them being a little bit more cautious of like you need to get a prenup and stuff. If they had like just gotten together, they've been together for years. They want to get married, they want to have a baby. Um, Even on the off chance that he is grifting her, I mean, it's a long con
That's
and
a
like
long ass time, especially with her being under this.
under the conservatorship where
Like,
she
I'd be
has
like, I ain't
no,
wasting my time with her. Like, I'm gonna find somebody else
yeah.
if that's what he
Yeah.
was wanting.
So it's like obviously they want to be together, and the fact that they can't even get married without the conservatorship's approval. Like I could go out today and get married to a stranger, and Brittany can't get married to somebody that she loves.
Yeah,
And that's insane.
it's unacceptable.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you've, well, we know everybody has heard it or read it or at least heard something about it. Tell us what you think about it. It's crazy.
yeah,
In fact, I hate that we're even like, I want to do this show on it, but at the same time, like, I feel bad to be
that's true.
giving her
Like
more
kind of
publicity at the
capital,
same
yeah, like
time.
capitalizing on kind of
But
it's
well, we're not
important though.
capitalizing because we don't make any money,
Well,
so
yeah, but like bringing more attention to it,
yeah.
but also it needs all this attention.
Yeah, yeah, so maybe she'll get the justice that she deserves. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I love the protesters that are for it, and now everybody's saying they were like, hey, everybody who was like making fun of Chris Crocker and his "Leave Britney Alone" video, he was right, and like
Yeah.
we should have left Britney alone, and this wouldn't have happened, and we wouldn't be here right now, and now we're protesting to get her freed so she can live her fucking life.
And I've like since high school, like I've never been like a huge Britney fan, but there are like songs of hers I've liked through the years. Um, but I'm so glad I've never went to a concert of hers
Yeah.
and known that I've bought like one CD of hers, and I don't even think I bought it. I think I got it as a present from someone. I'm kind of glad that I haven't fed that fuel.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel so bad for her and how the money and the fame is why she's under this. Like if she had a normal life, she absolutely would not be in this situation.
And I think it's specifically just that it goes back to the paparazzi. I think that if the paparazzi weren't as aggressive as they were, I mean, because you do see a lot of celebrities and child stars, I think, have had it a lot worse than adults.
Because it's like the only life that they know.
Yeah.
They've never had privacy in their entire life, except when they're an infant. But I mean,
Well, and you've seen interviews of her when she was 10 years old. She was part of the Mickey Mouse Club. So she really does not have any memories that she wasn't like semi-famous. So yeah, like of course she, broke, and of course she needed a break, and we didn't give her the option. And it was like, oh, this is so sad. Britney, had a meltdown. And then 2 years later, it's like, oh, she's better. She's releasing music. She's going on tour. She's obviously very happy. And then to find out now, it's like, oh, she was forced to do all of those things. Cool.
yeah.
That's great.
Anyways, I feel for Brittany, and I hope that,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
like this
I hope
type
she
of
gets
shit
it.
is exactly why I wouldn't even
Yeah.
consider letting my kids do anything that would make them famous in that way. Because I don't want them being used. Not like that.
Yeah, seeing stuff like this is exactly why I'm kind of glad. Like after the fact, like, oh, I'm glad that I didn't get modeling jobs and modeling contracts, and like have to potentially be a part of this, and just have those things where even you can't have just a bad day in private.
Yeah. But anyways, tell us what you thought. Think what your hopes and dreams are for Brittany's future. Um, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Eyes.
God, look how pale I am next to her. I'm straight up a vampire. And I have self tanner on right
Do
now.
you really? I
I
would not
do.
have guessed that.
I do. But I don't look this pale in the room.
Yeah. Just your lighting. It's like a ghost filter.
And it's even soft lighting. It's not like the bright, that
Yeah.
makes you paler. Like, God.
You're like untanned photos of Britney.
Yeah, for real. There. Now nobody can tell.
There you go. That's better. Now you guys are the same tone. That one's pretty.
Oh my
Oh, I
God.
like this one. No, go back one. Because that one, your lips look really like pretty.
I'm sorry, Brittany, but you gotta go. This ain't gonna work.
Yeah, honestly, she's too pretty. It's not gonna.
Yeah. That is not helping my aesthetics at all.
Power through it.
I inhaled my saliva.
Oh no. That's the word.
Choked. Here lies Lindsay. She died on her
We're
saliva.
still recording. Release that as an NFT, make bank off it.
Yeah. Like, I should be auditioning to play a vampire because I'd be like, y'all don't even have to use makeup. Like,
Yeah, honestly, you're
just
already
save
right
so
there.
much time and money because you will not need makeup.